Well, no, you can't show text. If I highlight it all. Yeah, that's true. But no, but the thing is too, it's like they're not even all there. My only thought is maybe I had a different version of it.
We have a few more chapters to go through in our document. So let's do this really important chapter today. This one. This one is super important for the exam to focuses on it a lot. And also it's a great time for us to go through it because as you are working on your last couple of projects, you can try some experimenting with some different things if you're needing to experiment. Some of this stuff is so much clearer at the end than it was as you were struggling through it. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Y'all had fun. Ate a lot. Got a lot of food in ya. Long weekends. We got my son and his girlfriend picked up a block off Canal Street without getting stopped by police yesterday morning. So we just barely made it through, I guess. 10 people got shot. So he didn't hear. But that's the excitement of city living. I guess we don't have any in Springfield. Okay, this one is about object-oriented programming. So like I said, it is a very important section. And it's condensed down to one scenario just like our others. So I've got it on the Zoom. You don't have to go find it if you don't want to, but you're welcome to. These scenarios we mentioned last time are pretty small, so it's really just the one page. If you wanted to do some printing out of the important things, you could print out this scenario with the questions and make notes and stuff about it if you wanted to. So this one is, let's see, about toys. Who do we have that is such a good reader? All of you are so good. Who wants to start out this morning? No, go for it. No.
I'll go next.
He's ready to go next. Who's looking at this thing that can start us off? I can read it. It's no big deal. I want you to worry about it. They say sometimes people just worry about having to read. Not an issue. Just want you to be involved. Now, Tailspin Toys is developing a simple robotic dogs for small children. The dog will connect to a computer via USB cable, and kids will be able to use a simple application to personalize the toy to their liking. Although the hardware is nearly complete, Tailspin has not yet created the software that owners will use to customize their toy dog. Victor's been hired to begin working on the software. Initially, Victor will need to design a class to represent the dogs. Naturally, the class will be named Dog. The toy, and therefore the dog class, will need to keep track of the dog's name, age, gender, and it will need to be able to bark, walk, wag its tail, and sit. So really important distinction there is you're taking your exam. Data elements of the class, actions of the class, right? Methods. So those are important distinctions. Those are the two things that we have in a class, are data and actions or behaviors. So the behavior of this dog is going to be to bark, walk, wag its tail, and sit. Okay, so far he's written this C# code. He has his class statement, and he has a basic constructor that doesn't have any arguments, but it has some default values. So based on that code, bless you, which of the following would be a property in the dog class?
I would say it would be number B. B is not a number, sorry.
That's okay.
But, yeah.
Would it be a property? B,
Well,
B?
I mean, C is constructed like a constructor.
Right.
and the word bark doesn't appear anywhere on here. And it sounds like it would be more of a method than a property.
Right. Good job. So it had to be B. Everybody agree. To create a dog with a different name, age, or gender, Victor should add
A creation event would work if you wanted to assign it randomly, but probably another constructor would be a more appropriate way to do it in any case, whether you wanted it randomly or not.
yeah, and isn't really in C#. A creation event is a constructor, right? So we don't really have a separate event per se. We could have some weird event that we named that. But yes, your constructor. Number 3, which line of code correctly creates a new dog in C#?
B.
Is it B? Do you agree? Yes. So be looking for that new keyword, because in the exam, they might give you that line of code on several different lines just to kind of, blur it in with some other code and make it not stand out as much as it does there. So good, good, good. You've got those basics down. Your property is your fields. We can instantiate multiple objects using multiple constructors. Okay, next one. Inheritance. Now Noah said he's ready. Yay.
Okay. As Tailpin Toys continues to develop its robotic dog toy, early marketing tests reveals that customers would like to choose from different breeds of robotic dogs. As a result, Tailspin has decided to create 3 variants: a poodle, a bulldog, and a golden retriever. The company has indicated that they will consider adding additional breeds in the future. The breeds will have a set of common attributes and behaviors, but each breed may have some unique capabilities. This presents some challenges for Victor as he designs the software children will use to customize the dogs. He doesn't want to write all of his code 3 times, once for each breed. He also doesn't want future programmers to create new breeds that are not compatible with his original design. Since Victor realized that a poodle is a dog, and the same is true for the other breeds, Victor decides to use inheritance. 1. In Victor's new design, poodle, bulldog, and golden retriever are all A, abstract classes, B, base classes, or C, derived classes.
C.
Pretty clear, B.
Very good.
Number 2, to allow breeds to reuse code and to ensure that future breeds are compatible, dogs should be declared as A, abstract, B, derived, or C, sealed.
If it were me, I would actually probably prefer to make this an interface, I think, because that way it makes sure that your derived classes all have the appropriate methods and stuff.
Is that a choice?
Given the 3 choices we have, probably it would have to be an A. B obviously doesn't make any sense. And sealing it means we can't inherit from it, doesn't it?
Actually,
So that doesn't make a lot of sense either.
you can if you were to have different species of animals, if you could do multi inheritance, couldn't you? Or something like that.
You can only inherit from one parent, so in C#.
That's one of the other benefits.
But that's why he was talking about using an interface.
Is you can use more than one interface. That said, given that our company is mainly focused on dogs at the moment, I don't think we need to overcomplicate it. So yeah, probably an abstract class would be fine.
Abstract.
Number 3, which of the following are not going to be inherited by 3 derived classes? A, constructors, B, properties, or C, methods?
Do you think that's an interesting way to ask that? If we have a derived class, do we have access to the properties of the parent class? The properties? Because the properties are usually public, right? So we should have access. What about the methods? Can't we run base dot toString So that means we get access to the methods of the parent class, right? The constructor, we have to just pass using that base keyword in our constructor. So what would you guess then? Constructors. Because remember, when we construct the child, behind the scenes, the parent is going to be constructed also before the child. So we're going to use that parent constructor. We're not going to inherit it. We're going to actually use it. Okay, what about polymorphism? We need a reader. Noah, pick somebody for us. Who?
Workers work with tailspin toys, robotics. Tailspin toys, robotics dogs is progressing well. He knows that his software for personalizing dogs will be popular with customers. Richard feels that his base class design ideas are good and he's going to think about the details. As long as the engineers and marketers stop making changes. Victor knows that while all the dogs share some common behaviors such as barking, that bark may be very different from one breed to the next. The bark method he creates for a poodle will need to be different from the bark method he uses for a golden retriever. In his dog class, he created a few methods. Here are the headers written in C#. To be able to override these methods and the derived components, what modifiers should Victor add to all these headers?
I would say virtual.
Is virtual the one that lets you override it? Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm second guessing.
Don't second guess yourself. You are absolutely right.
How can Victor invoke the bark method in the dog class from within a derived class?
See?
Could be a bit of a trick question because generally speaking, either of those are probably valid for one method or another. But in this case, we definitely need the C. We need to specifically get the one from our parent class.
Good.
What should Victor do if he wants bulldog class to just use the walk method from dog?
Which one do you think?
This is the letter B.
B? Is that your B?
Because we implement it and then you just say something to the effect of do base dog walk. And that tells it whatever you call this method, just call the parent method instead. It's fine. You don't have to do anything with it.
Do you agree?
Doesn't the virtual really don't have to into drive class?
Mm-hmm.
So would it be C?
Would it be C? Let's check, see what they want. C is what they're looking for. So really valid points on both.
Okay, so like B would work, but it's not necessary strictly speaking.
Right.
It might be a good idea if you might want to put something in there later. But if you're really just fine with it, then I guess you don't have to. Okay, fair enough.
But I mean, I can see arguments for your point also. So go with the simpler solution would be the advice. Keep it simplest. Keep it simplest. You know, you're looking for the best answer and probably the simplest solution.
Must remember the KISS acronym.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So don't forget all of your keywords for your classes. You guys did great. Sealed, we haven't done that one. When applied to a class, prevents other classes from inheriting from it. When applied to a member, prevents that member from being overridden by other classes. So I think you were pretty clear on how there wasn't a solution that it involved that one. So good. Okay, Taylor, who's next? Point at them. They're all looking down like, no, I don't see you.
Victor has done a great job designing software customized sales toys for body dogs. So great the fact that his boss wants to give him an opportunity that Victor won't be able to finish writing software himself. Instead, I A new developer will take over the project on the new developer's first day. However, she accidentally set the robot stage to negative 237 and crashes the program. To ensure the new developer doesn't damage the code that already works, Victor decided to black box the code he's already implemented. This means that the new developer won't need to see Victor's code, but will be able to use it as Victor can also ensure that values are checked before any changes are made so that the log doesn't end up with a negative age. Victor has implemented several methods in the dog class that he uses for bar, such as open mouth and closed mouth. He doesn't want those methods to be called by any derived classes, which access modifier should he use for those black box methods.
What do you think?
Private.
Private?
Like, if you wanted it to like be inherited, then you would use protected. But if you don't, then private. Just keep it localized.
Private, we're only going to be called by that class, right? Right about number 2.
Victor's primary methods are sit, walk, and wagtail should be accessible for anywhere in the project, which access modifier should be used for those methods.
I think I heard it. What'd you say? Protected? And this is one you want to experiment with a little bit. What about number 3?
Which of the following provides a means for reading and or modifying private attributes?
Property. Very good. Don't forget over here with the hint that in C# properties provide getters and setters, which can also be called from the Java world sort of accessors and mutators. Remember, a mutator is something that changes, an accessor is just something that accesses the data. So our getter and setter could be an accessor and mutator. And they actually are looking for public on that second one. So there wasn't an answer that involved protected. So that's definitely one to do a little bit of experimenting with and see where you would use that. They say instance variables of base classes are often defined as protected. This allows derived classes to access to the data while still hiding the data from other parts of the program. So if we wanted to open up our private class variables to our children classes, we could make those protected. No other part of the project would be able to access them except for derived classes. That's it for that section. So good job, be looking at this. If you notice the video that Dr. Ford posted to Twitch she's going through the same study guide. So if you want to turn it on, at night, if you like to have things going while you go to sleep, do that sleeping learning thing.
Quick question on the one before this just from
The different section.
one of the questions on this
Uh-huh.
third one.
Down further.
One more. Okay, one more. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh yeah. Maybe it was the next one. No. All right.
Let me know if you think
I
about it.
knew, I think, was sealed and abstract. What was the difference when using it on a method?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So an abstract class can't be instantiated, but it can still be used to inherit from. If it's sealed, we can't inherit from it. So it's just kind of like, this is it. Can't do anything with it. So much more locked down. Hey, any others? Lab time then, work on your group project in your final, whatever you need. Let me know if you need anything. I'm gonna be up here grading, ignoring you tremendously, so.